So boom, what's the word? It's me, the Virgin Pimp. I wasn't gonna make a vid on this dude again, but I encountered this dude's live, right? For the second time. He didn't respond to my vid about justifying his beliefs. And you can see it for your own. He accuses me of doing philosophy or supporting suffering for human life. But you never tried to justify your words. You kept repeating over and over again. But like, you haven't answered why suffering is, or why suicide is selfish. Why? Here's the problem though. You want everybody to take for granted that suicide is selfish. That's the first problem, or so-called problem, because that's a social norm, right? That's a social norm. Who the fuck else told you that suicide is selfish? You might say that suicide is selfish scientifically because your brain tells you to avoid harm. You might make that argument, but so what? You have to justify what's harm first. Why is that harm? Why does it tell you to avoid this quote unquote harm? Science isn't infallible in its own internal logic based on what you believe in, right? And sociologically, you haven't proved that suicide is selfish. What if slavery was the norm? Like in the United States, you tried to use that against me in your past life. What if slavery was the norm? In the past, slavery was the norm. That was so-called good to these people in the past. So let's take that logic and put it into place in this fucking era. If slavery was the norm in this era, does that make it good or not suffering, the opposite of suffering? You try to argue by norms, bro. I'm telling you to justify that shit. Why is suicide bad? Why is suicide suffering? You keep saying, oh, because it harms you. It harms people. But why is harm suffering? If you say I'm being philosophical, how could you tell I'm being philosophical right now? Are you a mind reader? You want to speak logically, right? You want to speak logically. That's based on philosophy. You try to use logic, bro. I've seen you try to use logic to justify your movement. But do you know what's logic based on? Supposedly, philosophy. And mind you, bro, science is based on logic. Science is based on philosophy. So if you are going to make an argument against philosophy, which plagues your own fucking mind, what makes you think that you're free of that? What makes you think that you're not doing the same, that you're not under the same problem, that it plagues your mind, that you're not under the same plague? You haven't proved it. You get what I mean? That's your fucking logic, bro. Secondly, you haven't justified if I'm being philosophical or not. I could be speaking based off my cognition, right? I could be speaking based off my reasoning alone. How can I be philosophical then? You just keep saying harm. If supposed harm, people supposedly get harm from suicide, that's your ultimate reasoning for it in that lie. But why is that harm? Why is that harmful? You use science to prove that suffering is wrong. How could you tell if science is telling you what's suffering or not just because of brain chemistry and all this bullshit? No, that requires an extra inference from you. And you have to justify that. Why is that suffering? Why is that harmful? Why is it harmful to kill yourself rather than everybody? Here's the thing. You say it's it's selfish to kill yourself, right? So what are you basing it on if you think that killing everybody else wouldn't be selfish? You just killed everybody. You do not know if there's something happens after death. You haven't proved that. And you say you have the truth and that there's nothing after death. You have to prove it from the foundation with absolute certainty. Because why the fuck would people believe your pro-extinction movement? Why would anybody believe your pro-extinction movement other than taking assumptions? You're telling everybody to wipe off the fucking earth. That's supposedly a big goal, right? But you haven't justified it. You keep saying, oh, surface level this, surface level that, surface level reasoning. But why would we base it on that? Why shouldn't we go for the foundation? Do you want, like I said, do you want people to follow you blindly? That's what you want your movement to be about? I don't really give a fuck about your movement. It's that people blindly follow others. That's what I don't fuck with. Why science? Why should science be the authority? Let's say you try to justify it with science. Why should science be the authority? Why shouldn't religion be the authority? You're saying it as if they're self-evident truths. Why do you consider these things as self-evident truths? Who says they're self-evident? Or if that's what you're implying. So prove it to me from the foundation with absolute certainty and free of doubt. Please do. Alright? I'm doing this for you. Your ego is on the line. This is the second time I'm making a vet on you. I remembered your so-called buffoonery. I consider it buffoonery. Can you prove that you know anything at all? Could you prove that to me, bruh? To everybody, for your fucking sake? For your movement's sake? Because if you can't prove your words with absolute certainty or free of doubt, and just based on probability, why should we believe you at all? Even if you try to deny these things, you know that yourselves.